And we're looking back at this day in local history as we prepare for the nation's 250th birthday next year. 16 years ago today, an official historical marker was placed at the site where three young civil rights workers were abducted before they were killed during the Freedom Summer of 1964. Andrew Goodman, James Chaney, and Michael Schwerner were investigating a church burning when they were picked up by sheriff's deputies on Highway 19 and later murdered. Their bodies were found more than 6 weeks later, buried on a farm. The crime was the inspiration for the movie Mississippi Burning, and it was a key event in the civil rights movement. It was commemorated with a historical marker on September 1st, 2009. Your look at this day in history.